Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for a new episode of GRAFFTV. Tonight, we have a notorious vandal in studio. He's a lyrical maestro who's been rising to the top of the Los Angeles Freeway charts with his musical masterpieces. He currently holds the record for the Instagram graffiti clip with the most views ever at 18 million and rising. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to welcome one of the most daring and influential freeway killers to come out of Los Angeles. Help me in welcoming, it's the one and only Bibo, BB crew.
What up?
Yeah, man. Welcome to the show, bro. It's great to finally have you in studio.
G.
How you doing, man?
I'm chilling, bro.
Hey, man, it's great to finally have you. It's a rainy day out there. Thank you for making it, bro.
Yep, that rainy day schedule.
Now, I'd like to get started right away with your history, bro. Your origins, your journey in Los Angeles graffiti culture. First, I'd like to know, where are your parents from?
Well, my parents are from the Philippines. Born and raised in the Philippines. They came out here in the 80s. I was born in the 90s and just made a legend.
Can you describe what kind of people your parents are? Are they religious? Are they strict? Are they easygoing?
All of the above, actually. Like I was born religious. I went to like Catholic church and shit. My parents raised me Catholic, but yeah.
Do your parents meet in the Philippines? Do they meet here in California? How does that happen? Do you know?
They met out here in California, out in the Virgil Village, actually. They met in a restaurant, started cooking and shit.
Nice. Where were you born?
I was born and raised in LA. Yeah, I was born at Hollywood, actually.
Did you grow up in Virgil Village?
Oh, I didn't grow up in Virgil Village.
Where did you grow up? What area of Los Angeles?
The 9002
Do you remember what that area was like as you were growing up as a little kid there? Can you please describe it for us?
Hell yeah, that shit. At the moment, I thought it was nothing, but I think back and I'm like, some real movie shit. I remember walking to the Pioneer Market in Echo Park with my mom. We had our own little like shopping cart, and we pushed it all the way over there, and I had to push it back, like through the park, down Sunset, fucking getting groceries with my mom and shit, seeing everything go down. Like it was pretty wild.
Around what year was this, growing up in Echo Park? Do you remember?
I would say like 95, 96. Yeah.
What was Echo Park like in those days? Was it how it is currently, or was it more dangerous?
I would say it was a little more dangerous.
How would you describe Echo Park these days?
It's cool. It's more money in it now, more people.
What type of kid were you growing up in Echo Park? Were you a good kid, a shy kid, into sports? What were you into?
Oh, dude, I was nerdy. I was nerdy up until I linked up with my cousin in middle school.
When you say nerdy, can you explain some of the nerdy things that you would do? Were you into school or what exactly?
Bro, I was part of the student council, fucking wanted to be a hall monitor and shit like that, you know? I was a good kid. I got awards. My parents are proud.
You mentioned that everything changed when you met your cousin?
No, when I linked up with my cousin.
When you linked up with your cousin. How do you first link up with your cousin? Do you remember?
Well, it was from elementary to middle school. He was an 8th grader. He was already in the game. I was a 6th grader. I just started. So he already knew everybody in the school, and he was like one of the cool kids. So I stuck around with him and felt like I had to prove myself a little bit because I was like, man, he's cool. Like, I want to be part of that shit too, you know?
What school were the both of you in at that time?
Oh, we went to Virgil Middle School.
That school has kind of a reputation for being a tough school. Can you let us know what was life like going to that school?
Oh man. Well, that shit was fun. We had something called the Rockers versus Rappers back in the day.
What was that?
It was like it was a thing that we would do. Like it was whatever you were, whatever style you had, you were either a rocker or you were a rapper. Like a rocker meaning like you like to skate, you like to listen to rock music and shit like that. A rapper would like pretty much categorize like the pretty boy gangsters or whatever, and it would just be either or. Like you'd be the rapper or a rocker.
You mentioned your cousin was well known in school. Did he write?
Yeah, he did.
What did he write? Can you share that with us?
That's my cousin Madove. That's my right hand right there. Madove from the Drunk Bums, B&B. My blood.
Besides your cousin, does anyone in your family have any artistic ability? Can you please share how do you go about getting that artistic ability on your own?
Shit. Actually, my older cousin had put me on, they call him Tech. He got a brand called Individualist. He does a lot of like stuff with like, based off of screen printing. He's printed for a bunch of companies. Pleasures, Born and Raised, Chinatown Market. He currently got some projects with them and shit.
Did he inspire you in your own journey?
Hell yeah, he inspired me like with hip hop, graffiti. Like that's the reason why I started all this shit. Like,
do you remember when he first introduces you to graffiti or when you first see it?
Oh, when I rolled into his room the first time.
What do you see? Can you describe it for us?
So I rolled in there, and it's like a bunk bed with no bottom bed. It was just like a top deck. He had his bed on top, but you go under the bed, and it was like Fat Beats. I don't know if you guys remember Fat Beats, but on Melrose, there's like posters everywhere and shit. Posters. I see the turntables on the bottom. Like, he had like art that he's done, like fucking. How do you say it? That shit that you get at the hobby stores, the little model kits or whatever. He had those. Like everything about it, I was like, damn, this shit's inspiring. And it just rolled off on me, and I'm like, I just picked it up.
When you see the graffiti, do you ask him about it? Like, what is that? How do you come to know his tagger name as well?
I actually didn't. I would just call him like what my parents told me to call him. And that, I don't know.
Did you know what graffiti was when you see it in his room? Do you ask him?
Honestly, I don't know.
What does the graffiti in his room say? Were there known writers? Was it his own art?
Oh, it was different. Like, it wasn't really like too much of like bold letters. It was more like abstract, and it said his name. It was just crazy. I always seen it all the time, but when I started really noticing it is when I seen my cousin do it.
Were you curious about graffiti from that point on, or does something else happen to inspire you in that journey?
That was definitely a big part of it, but what really started it was when me doing it was my pops. Like, he would always like make banners for us when we were kids on our birthdays. Like, he would write like "Happy Birthday," whatever.
With his own lettering?
With his own lettering, his own font and everything. So like one year I was like maybe around 4 or 5, maybe even 6, around that time. He told me to do a banner, and I was like, fuck it. I did one, and I came up with my own font, and I just kept doing it. And I just fucked around like every year. Like whoever's birthday it was, I would just write the names. So.
Where did your dad pick up his lettering? Does he ever share that with you?
No. I actually don't know where he picked up his lettering, actually.
Can you describe his lettering? What did it look like?
Back then, I thought it was dope.
Have you seen it recently?
Yeah.
And what do you think about it now these days?
I would say it's some drunk shit. You know, like, he just did it just to do it. Like, But it looked cool at the moment. Like everybody appreciated it. It looks cool. All
Do
the
you-
letters.
Do you ever ask your dad about graffiti? Do you guys ever have the conversation?
Oh yeah, he don't like it. He don't like me doing that shit.
What does he tell? If we were to ask him, what do you do? What would your dad say? What would be his response?
He'll probably just shake his head and be like, I don't know, man. He does whatever he wants. To be honest.
Now that graffiti's in your mind, you enter your cousin's room and see the DJ tables, the graffiti. From that point on, do you start noticing graffiti on the streets?
Yeah.
Do you remember some of the names that come to your mind that you would see on the streets in those early years?
Euler.
What was it about Euler that caught your eye?
It was just a chunky, bold style, like with the NY fat cap. Like I always wanted to write like that. That's just bold, legible.
Euler made an appearance on a Fox News special in the mid to late 90s, I want to say. Did you ever check that out?
I think I might have came across it a couple of times.
Do you remember what were your impressions of first seeing Euler? Does he inspire you to go out? Does he influence you in any way?
Like, I fuck with the style, like, and he's been around. Like he's somebody I've seen around and shit, along with Chaka. Fucking like who else? Like Revoke. Revoke is killing it, or he's still killing it. Saber. Shout out to all the MSKs. And Merch too. Merch was killing it at a young age. Like, who else? I know there's a couple of heads that I'm missing, but yeah, man.
After seeing your cousin's room, you're now seeing writers on the street. When do you start writing? Do you remember first picking up a marker and trying something?
Yeah.
How does that start?
It actually wasn't even a marker. It was one of the little spray cans for the hairs, a little hair dye. So we dared my cousin Spud. We dared him, like there was a yard across the street. It was like an empty yard. Some bomb was rocking. I don't even know what it was. I was so young. And we were like, hey, go catch a spot across the street. Not in those words, like we didn't know what the fuck catch a spot was, but we were like, go ride across the street with that can. So he goes across the street, he's shaking the can, he's shaking it. And me and my other cousin, Mado, we're across the street. And the other cousin, he's over there catching the spot. He's about to catch the spot. He looks at us. He was like, what do I write? And I'm like, I don't know. We look at each other. We're like, I don't know. And then I thought of it. I was like, write a LA. And he writes a LA in like fucking fluorescent pink. Like, and then my other cousin, my other older cousin, which is Tex Road Dog, the other cousin that had the room and whatever. He was staying with us. He comes through and he's like, what are you guys doing? And he sees my other cousin. He's coming out the yard, like fucking going under the fence and shit. He's coming out the yard and my mom pops out. And she's like, what are you guys doing? And we had already told my cousin, like, yo, like, we just caught a spot across the street. And my other cousin, he's like, look, Tita, they rode across the street and my mom looks at us and we get in trouble. I'm like, I look at my cousin, I'm like, what the fuck, dog? Like, we were young too. But that's my cousin, man.
How do you get punished? Do you get punished?
Oh yeah, you get the slipper to the whatever they hit.
Your cousin's writing. What about you? When do you pick up your can?
When do I pick up my can?
Now that you're seeing your cousin writing LA.
I actually don't even remember, bro. I think I stole a marker from my cousin. Yeah, I stole a marker and I wrote his name. My other cousin, the one that used to live with us, the one that I told my mom about. Because he was a graffiti artist too. But
did you know that your cousins were all heavily involved in graffiti growing up?
I didn't I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't really think of it much, but I just wanted to do what they did. So whatever they did, like, I just picked it up.
Do you know how they first started writing or who influenced them to get into it?
I think it's the whole culture because they both DJ. My cousin Tech and my cousin Ray, they both DJ and they would throw like house parties and shit. Like they were sick into the turntablism, like hip hop. They would take me to Fat Beats, Workman's. Like that's how I learned about all this shit.
You do get involved in graffiti from your cousins, but did you ever experiment with DJing yourself?
Yeah. Like when my cousin wasn't home, he left his turntables at the crib. I would just go in the room and fuck around with it. I didn't really know too much about it, but I just like fucked around with it. He would come home mad because the needles would be all fucked up. And I don't know what happened.
What kind of music was your cousin spinning?
All hip hop. All hip hop.
Now, you say you don't clearly remember when you first started writing, but what name were you first writing? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Bibo.
It's always been Bibo.
Yeah.
Can you please share with us where that name comes from, the origins? Do you come up with that name? Does someone give it to you? How does it come about?
So when I was a kid, I got cousins that are mixed. They're Filipino and Hispanic. I got cousins that are Mexican, and I have cousins that are Salvadorian. And I'm pretty much one of the purebreds. And we would have parties all the time, and my Filipino uncle, he'd be like, "Hey, go dance." And I was like, "All right." So I'd bust out and shit, and then like the ladies up from other family side would be like, "Oh, it's time vivo, which is like live, like active. So like my uncle, he started calling me Bibo, like due to that, and it means smart in Filipino. So it just stuck to me, like it was just a word that was Spanish and Filipino, but they just made a nickname out of it. I mean, and put it on me, or whatever.
How old are you when this name comes about?
Shit, I was young. 3, 4.
Does your whole family call you Bibo? Or is it just that uncle and the streets calling you Bibo?
Now it's just my uncle and the streets. But like my whole family, they don't call me Bibo no more. When I was a kid, yeah. Like, that was my nickname.
Was there ever an idea or a thought about changing your name for graffiti and not using that name?
There was, but because of fear, but I was like, nah, fuck that. Like, if I'm gonna stop writing my name, I'm gonna just stop writing.
When you first start writing Bibo, what are your thoughts about writing that name? Are you getting crossed out when you first write it? Is it coming out? Do you wish it would have been better written? Or how would you describe writing that name early on?
Writing it early on, not a lot of people understood it. Probably people still don't understand it, but they gotta respect it. But a lot of people used to clown, like, what the fuck is Bibo? What the fuck is Bibo? Why Bibo? Is it B-boy? I'm like, nah, it's just Bibo. I used to spell it B-E-E-B-O-E. Now I abbreviated it to or shortened it to BBOE. Sometimes with an R.
Are you into practicing writing your name? How do you improve your letter style and structure? Do you practice? Is practice just going out and catching tags?
I think practice is just doing it over the years. Sometimes I'll just be stuck just doing it over and over and over within a little period of time, but then I'll pause, go on with my life, but then I'll still do it. Like, it's just part of me. Every day.
You have your nickname at an early age. You find out about graffiti seeing your cousin's room. When do you put 2 and 2 together and say, all right, I'm gonna start writing and I'm gonna use the name Bibo?
No, it was middle school. It was a skate team. That's what it was. It was middle school. It was Team Jerks. Yeah. It was Team Jerks, Team Chaotic, fucking, What else? Unknown Team, like all the Virgil like skate teams and shit. I remember coming back one day from summer vacation, and like all my homies, like they were all part of different skate teams and shit. They were all beefing, and that was when DB was just starting. This was like around 2002 or 2000, around there. And yeah, I came back and everyone was from different sets, and I was like, what? Which one am I gonna get in? So I came up with that name. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna write Bibo. Like that was my nickname as a kid, and I would just tag it and shit. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just put it in the streets.
How did you choose which skating crew to get in, to join?
It was my homie Hansel. He was like, hey dog, why don't you rock with us? It was Team Jerks. Yeah, and I was like, fuck it. Like him, other homies, we just kicked it.
Virgil Junior High. Growing up, I also went to Virgil, and it was mostly gangsters and taggers. Was the skateboard scene linked up with graffiti culture? How do those two come together?
Not yet. It wasn't even really graffiti. Like, it was just like tagging, I want to be seen type shit. Like,
why were there so many skating crews in Virgil at that time?
I don't know. It was just like a rocker thing.
Virgil, can you name some of the other? Were there any other known riders in Virgil at that time that you remember, or what were the big crews in Virgil at that time, if you remember?
The big crews back then are fucking gangs now. Like they're all like gangsters. Like it was MAK, DIA, fucking like 18th Street, MS. Who else was in that school? Like, a lot of K-Town and fucking like downtown. That around that area, all the hoods were pretty much in that school, and all the like. Yeah, it was all tag banging and gangster pretty much. Like if you were a tagger, you weren't really a tagger if you're banging back then.
You're in Virgil, you're in middle school with your cousin. Is this when you take graffiti more seriously? Are you tagging in school? Are you sneaking out of school to go tag? Are you tagging before going to school? What's the situation like with trying to get up back in those days?
It was all through skateboarding, bro. Like I would skate at spots and I want to be here. Like I'm gonna write so people knew I was here. So that's how it started. Like just tagging at every spot that we would skate at. And then we'd come out in music videos and they'll be like, oh shit, you seen that shit? And it just hyped us up. Hyped me up.
When you, I want to backtrack a little bit. When you come up with your name Bibo, was there any concern in your part that people wouldn't know how to pronounce it or how to say it?
Yeah, but I didn't really give a fuck. I was like, fuck it. Like, I seen other names that were weird too, and I was like, man, fuck it. I'll just put my name too.
Right, Bibo, very unusual name, but it rings bells now. You also do something very interesting. You write your name upside down sometimes. Can you please explain why you do that as well? Reverse.
Yeah.
I mean, I always had that throw and as forward, but I don't know. I don't know if you guys noticed, but over the years, my style has been the same. Like I either have that throwy, or I have the other bubbly letters that I do. And that's been my style for years since I even started. I just like improved it every year. I try to improve it every year. And like recently I was like, man, I'm gonna try to do this shit backwards because I'm left-handed. And like to go from left to right was kind of weird for me. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna try to do it from right to left so I could extend it a little bit. And I just started doing it and stuck with it.
Now, as you're going through your graffiti journey, can you tell us about, do you ever sneak out to go writing, or do you ever go writing out at night? When does that begin? Can you please share with us?
Well, I've been stuck out since I was a little kid. But like back then when I did sneak out, it was right before school. Like I would go to school early as hell and I'll run on the freeway and like, I'll go to a street or a spot that I wanted to catch before school and I'll hit it and then go to school.
How would you get to the spot? Are you taking the bus? Are you walking?
Oh, skateboarding, walking, bus.
Would you always make it to school on time?
Sometimes.
Do you ever get busted before school riding?
No, luckily no. That was like the perfect time.
Would you go out riding with your group of friends in the morning when all of you go to school by yourself?
It was solo until I hopped on the bus.
Where would you go besides the freeway? Would you what kind of spots would you catch?
It was mostly the freeway because like I knew that everyone was gonna see that shit. But a lot of the spots I would catch would be in spots that what I feel would be seen a lot. So like main streets. I'd try to climb a lot during those times. Like I'd hit like light posts and shit.
Do you ever get busted riding in those before school? Do your parents ever catch on?
Yeah, they did, but they didn't. They're like, why would he leave so early?
What time were you leaving?
I'll leave like at 5, 4. I'll be gone already. Right after my dad will leave to work, I'll be gone too.
Wouldn't you go to school tired after putting in all that work?
Yeah, but I wouldn't be in school all day. I'll leave after lunch. All right, late, 5th and 6th period, what is that?
What were your reasons for writing back then? Were you trying to, why were you trying to get well known? What was the purpose? Or what was the goal of writing back then? Was it an addiction, would you call it? Were you trying to get known? Were you trying to get someone's attention?
Actually, I just did it just to do it. Like, in a way, I did want attention, but it wasn't really that though. Like, it was just like, I like doing it. I like how these letters look. I like how, what I'm creating out of it. I like what I'm doing, you know? Fucking, it was not until later where I found out about like 50mm and like Flickr and what was it, Photo Bucket and shit like that. Like I started seeing like pictures of like graffiti and the shit that hyped me up is that I actually came out on 50mm and I'm like, what? Hell yeah. Cause that was a spot. If you're on there, then you're pretty much on. Like that's like a time capsule of that era, you know?
Over the years, have your reasons for writing changed? Why do you write now? What makes you keep writing?
What makes me keep writing? I just like doing it. I like the attention.
Has your family ever tried to talk you out of writing? Have they ever encouraged you to stop?
They always try to talk me out of writing and tell me to do like more canvas shit and more art shows and shit like that, more positive shit, but...
Why do you continue to break the law after all these recommendations from your family? Why do you keep going?
Because they don't understand, like, it's fuck the law, man. Fuck this society, the system that they try to build. It's all fucked up. If they're not getting paid off of it, it's illegal. And I'm like, man, fuck that. I want to get paid too, or that's illegal to me.
Now, Bibo, you have your name since you at an early age. Your graffiti's influencing you. Your cousins are making you aware of graffiti. Then, all of a sudden, can you please tell us, once you have your name, you start writing DB everywhere next to your name. Can you tell us, how do you join that crew? Or actually, before joining that crew, have you ever heard of DB before?
Yeah.
What had you heard of them before joining them?
the drunk bums, skaters, sick ass skaters actually. Like that's what drew me to them, because some of my homies they were in drunk bums at an early age. My homie Yoshi, that fool would fucking like kickflip first try off the lines there at Belmont, like nothing. My homie Chips too, he was also a DB at a young age before me. Like, he would also do that shit, like back to back, him and Yoshi, and the other homie Coyote.
Can you please educate me on what DB is? Is it a graffiti crew? Is it a skating crew? From your knowledge, how did DB start? What is it?
DB started as a skate team. It was called the Drunkies back in the day. It was called DK. And then with the Dead Kennedys, it was like too close to the Dead Kennedys. Sure, my homie Boyd, he's the one who designed the DB. It was pretty much based off of Piss Drunks as well. And we just started rocking with drunk bums.
How do you first run into DB? How do you make that connection first? Do you remember?
I actually grew up with these guys. Like, it was my homies, like, from middle school and shit.
Were they already in DB when you met them?
No. No, they were just them.
How do you join them? Do they ask you to join? Do you have to do submissions to join? Can you tell us how that comes about?
I started going to Belmont because my first high school was DBM, Downtown Business Magnet. I ended up getting kicked out. Then I went to Belmont. I ended up running into Sumba and Waldo. These guys, man. It was me and my cousin Spud. My cousin would walk around with the guitar, and we bumped into these guys. It was morning and shit or whatever. And we all smoked weed, so it was like that how high moment, like, oh, you guys smoke, whatever. And these guys were catching a spot with my homie Sumba. He wasn't really he wasn't the homie like that, not like now, but when I met him, he had a water bottle filled with paint and shit. And I was like, what the fuck is this fool doing? So he was just riding on the floor with it, like grimy style. I was like, oh, it's DB. Like, and I already knew some people from DB, like my homie Yoshi and Coyote, like Chips, and meeting Sumba. He was a familiar face too. Like, he went to the same schools I went to, but I never really kicked it with him like that. So like, after that day, like, we just started like seeing each other more and more, and he introduced me pretty much to the crew. Like, not just the people that I knew. Oh yeah, Crudo too. Crudo, my boy, man. Shout out him. But that guy was another sick ass skater from DB. Like, these are all the guys that were from my era. And Rodden as well, man. Rest in peace. Like, that's my brother right there. Like, all these guys, they were all 1990s babies. Except for Sumba. Sumba was a little older, that's why I didn't really like know him too much. But then, like, in high school, that was the first one like I kind of bumped into. That was somebody I didn't know.
How does the DB crew know that you write? Do you tell them that you're Bibo?
Oh yeah, off top. Yeah, like, he had already hit me up and he was like, you right? I was like, yeah, I'm Bibo 1. And then he was like, all right, Sumba from DB. Yeah.
What made you feel that you and DB would be a good fit?
Actually, you know, hold on. He wasn't even Sumba back in the day. He was Gizmo. He was Gizmo back in the day. Like, the people that know and shit, but now his name is Sumba. It was Gizmo back in the day.
Why did you choose, out of all the crews, to join DB? What made you feel that it would be a good fit for you when you had several different crews to choose from?
It was just kicking it with the boys, man. It was a brotherhood. It wasn't like any other crew that was right in the moment. Like, I seen other crews that didn't even know each other. And this crew, everyone knew each other. Everyone had to kick it with each other at some point before joining into the crew. Like, you didn't just get in. like first day.
Do you know the history of DB? Like, what part of LA did it start from and who started it?
Yeah. For the most part, I feel like I do. It all started in Westlake area. You know, like not MacArthur Park, but around that area and shit, like Westlake, Echo Park, all in between that area.
Do you know who came up with the crew in general to begin with?
Yeah. It was my homie Void, Samurai, fucking Spaz, Mecca, like Yoshi, a bunch of heads, bro. Satan, fucking, who else? Millhouse, Junkie, who else? Waldo's OG head.
Why did they start the DB crew? Do you know the history as to why it began?
Yeah, it was just the drunk bums. You had to fucking drink a 40 to get in. Like, and it was like off some skater shit, like some grimy skater punk shit. Like, you had to drink a 40 to get in, to down it, like actual 40.
Usually we hear that graffiti is a hip hop element, but this isn't always the case, as in your situation. Can you tell us, how does skating and graffiti intertwine?
It's the area, man. Like, you could be a rocker, rapper, or whatever the fuck, but when you go home, you're you. And like, your brother might not even be a rocker or rapper. Like, he's just a regular dude, and you're a regular dude too at the end of the day. So that pretty much, like, I feel integrated it, because whatever you were into and your loved one was into, it's gonna mix.
How do other crews respond to DB, since you were skaters and punks?
They would try us a lot. Yeah, we would have to prove ourselves a lot. Like, oh yeah, you guys with the skinny jeans and this and that, like, you guys are just some punk ass skaters. We'll fuck you up though. Like, we got long hair and shit like that. We're still gangster with it though. Like, you don't gotta look like a cholo or a gang member to be a G in LA. It's just how you are, how you carry yourself.
Do you remember first going to a meeting for DB? Can you tell us about that experience?
Man, I feel like every day was a meeting. We would kick it deep all the time. Like, but an actual meeting, yeah, it's pretty wild. It's like a mini version of The Warriors. You know what I mean? That scene where everyone's like, "Can you dig it?" Because it's all about respect, man. One person's talking. And, well, sometimes it gets crazy. Yeah.
Do you join DB at that first meeting you attend?
No.
How do you join? Do you drink a 40?
No, actually, I don't drink. I'm from the drunk bums and I don't drink. I'm the one and only.
What do you do to join? Do they just let you in because you're Bibo?
They let me in because I got the love, man. Like, I got love for the crew. My homies got the love for me. Like, we just clicked there. Like, I didn't even really need to drink to get in. Like, it was just that love already. Like, all right, you're one of us.
Once you join DB, a well-known crew in Los Angeles, do you celebrate? How do you celebrate?
Oh, I went out on, like, just a rampage of just tagging and shit. I actually did drink that day that I got in. Mommy was like, "Dog, just drink a beer with us." I was like, fuck it. I took it and I drank it. It was like a little, what is it, a 12-ounce little bottles and shit. I was like, fuck it, for the cheers, you know? And yeah, we went out. We went to a show that day, actually. We went to a punk show out in East LA. Deep. I remember going to the show and my homie Void would have like bus passes printed from back in the day. Some had the gold parts, some didn't. But if you had the gold parts, you were legit. But like, he would print out like a gang of them for all the homies before we would go to the show.
Once you join DB, Do you feel that you need to put in more work to get your name more known and get the crew more and elevate the crew?
Yeah.
Or are you just writing for fun at this point still?
No, it was like it was a lot of pressure. Like, I had to prove myself. It was like 6th grade all over again.
How do you go about making a bigger name for yourself and elevating your crew? Are you planning, doing big missions, productions? What's going through your mind?
It was actually I was just tagging everywhere, bombing everywhere whenever I got the chance to. But a lot of it was getting into my crew was a lot of fighting. Like if you weren't with it, like nobody really want to fuck with you, cause you gonna jump or not. That's pretty much like what it was. Like if you're gonna rock with us, you're gonna rock with us. If you're gonna be a little bitch, we don't really want you.
When you go out riding, now that you're in DB and you go out riding for the first time that you can hit up DB, who goes riding with you? Because before you were riding alone before school. Now do you have a whole crew out with you?
Yeah.
Who goes riding with you? How many heads?
Everyone. We're like fucking 30 heads deep walking down the street. 15 and 15 on each curve. Like two mobs. And the people that are riding back in the days with us, that was riding next to me was Effer, fucking Guts, Gizmo, which is Sumba now, fucking, oh damn, there's a lot of homies and homegirls and shit. They would all go together.
Your Bibo tag, well known. Your nonstop, well known, beautiful black drippers. In this time, were you mostly tagging with markers and mean streaks, or also doing your outlines with spray cans?
Which time?
When you barely get into DB.
Oh, it was just everything.
It was everything?
It was like streaks, markers, fire extinguisher. I wanted to get my hands on glass heater, like everything.
I've seen your letters. Every time you do a fill, your letters match, no matter what. Who teaches you how to do outlines?
Basically, myself. Like it's what I see, the influence that I see every day, like what I like and what I've taken in and held on to. That makes my style.
Now that you're coming up in the ranks at this early age, you're in DB, you have your name Bibo. When do you feel people began to recognize your name? Like, oh, I see Bibo everywhere. Was there a certain point where you said to yourself, hey, you know what? I'm getting pretty up.
Honestly, not until really recently, until the spell outs. Or a little bit before that with the Doom mask. Like people started noticing it a little bit. And not until the spell outs when everyone was like, oh, Bibo, they're like happy to see me nowadays. And I'm like, you didn't even say what's up to me last time. You know? But yeah.
Now, when you meet other riders in the street, are you the type of rider that hits other people up, or do you like staying low pro and conceal your identity?
I like staying low pro, but in my early ages, I love hitting people up, see who they are and shit.
If someone hits you up, do you usually say you don't write? Do you let them know who you are?
No, I let them know who I am. Always.
Throughout these years, I'm from Los Angeles, so I've seen you up for a long time, but I don't think I've ever seen you with a consistent writing partner. Have you ever had a writing partner? Or who do you feel has been your closest writing partner up to this point?
I actually don't have like a close writing partner. It's always like different homies, like I just kick it with and we just catch a spot together.
Do you prefer writing alone?
At times, yeah. Cause sometimes, man, I'll be writing with homies and I'm like, fuck, it's like babysitting. It's like a burden a little bit. Like, oh, you don't got black? Oh, I need my black. Keep looking out for me real quick. Or like they'll be all like on some shit and I'm like, bro, like you can't even stand right. You're gonna fall right now. Like, I'm like, you know, some shit you gotta worry about more than trying to run this mission real quick.
Yeah, that's a good point we really don't ever think about. When you go writing, do you have a strategy when you go writing? Are you just hitting up anywhere and everywhere that you see, or are you scoping out spots, writing them down, coming back later to catch them?
No, I pass by these spots daily, and I'm like, sometimes I'm just sitting in traffic and I'm looking at this spot for like 5 minutes the whole time, and I'm like, this will be pretty nice with my shit on it, you know? And that's pretty much how I get my spots.
Now you're catching spots everywhere. We see Bibo in all types of places. What's your favorite writing tool? Do you like markers, mean streaks, scribers?
I like all of the above, man, but some of my top favorites would have to be all the permanent shit, like scribe, glass eater, fucking fire extinguisher. My favorite marker would probably have to be a streak, a yellow. Not that fluorescent shit though, like that gold shit, you know? That's like the only streak that I fuck with actually.
What's your least favorite writing tool? Is there one writing tool that someone gives you that you'll be like, nah, I don't fuck with that?
My least favorite writing tool. I don't know, man. I can't say. I've tagged with fucking toothpaste before. So I write with everything. And if you get me up, and I don't think I have a least favorite.
I see a lot of black dripper spots from you. Beautiful drippers. But do you ruin a lot of clothes due to these markers dripping all the time? And what's your strategy with clothes, man?
All my shit has, I can't ever have fresh shit. Like, if I'm rocking it, it's gonna get dirty. Like, you're gonna have at least one paint splatter or a streak stain or whatever in the pockets or whatever.
Recently, there's been clothing companies that add the paint to your clothes, little splashes and drips. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's cool, get your money, but like, it comes from the organic. When it happens organic, it's just more authentic, I guess, and more value, but versus somebody just mass producing the same splatter, the same stain. Like, that's cool and all, get your money.
Now, you've made a name for yourself. Everyone knows Bibo, at least in Los Angeles. Are you surprised with how far you've brought the name Bibo from the humble beginnings when your uncle gave it to you?
Yeah, I be tripping out.
Does your uncle know who you are? And what does he say about your name?
He doesn't really know too much about like what I do, like with the graffiti and shit, but he still calls me Bibo. Like, he's one of the gangster uncles. Like he's a crazy motherfucker. So like nothing I do is really too crazy.
Are you satisfied with your position in the streets right now, or are you trying to elevate your name even more?
I'm never gonna be satisfied, bro. I'm always trying to elevate, trying to get better every day.
Bibo, original name. Your hand style's recognizable. Your outlines, everyone knows it's you. But at some point, we see your name with a MF Doom mask. When do you start to add that MF Doom mask to your name? Can you tell us about that? How does that come about?
I would say it was 2021, 2022, right after COVID. Like, I don't know, I just started doing it. I seen Effer do it. He came out with like a skull. My homie Mecca would do it too. Like, they would come out with skulls, and I'm like, man, fuck it, I'm gonna try to do some like hip hop shit, cause you guys are rockers. Like, I'm gonna do some hip hop shit, like rockers versus rappers. And
You could have done the Wu-Tang. You could have done any other hip hop logo. Why MF Doom?
Cause Doom's hard, man. Doom, like like Wu-Tang, shout out Wu-Tang too, like they're hard too, but it's just a mask. It's just really iconic in the hip hop game, like, and it's a villain thing. Like, it's nothing nice. Like, it was a mad villain, MF Doom.
Do you tell anyone what you're thinking of doing?
No.
Do you just want to surprise everyone and bust your mask on the street?
Yeah, I just started doing it. I didn't really tell too many people about it.
How many times do you do it before someone hits you up about it?
A lot. I probably lost count already before that.
So
Nobody really notices it until you do something really big, and everything else what stands out.
Do you practice the mask before actually painting it on the wall?
No, the first time I did it was on the wall.
Are you painting the MF Doom mask when he's alive? Does he ever see or hear about you painting the mask?
No, I think when I started painting it, he had already passed away.
Do you call the mask the MF Doom mask, or is it now the Bibo mask?
It's the MF Doom mask, definitely. MF Doom.
Do you ever get any backlash for using the mask?
No. I hope I don't too. That's pretty much my take on it.
Now, as you're writing and coming up and making a name for yourself, do you ever get busted for graffiti? Can you please tell us about that first experience getting busted?
First time I got busted for graffiti, I was like 16. I got busted right behind like my crib and shit, like close to my area. It was almost, every time I get caught for graffiti, it was the most stupidest thing. Like, I don't know, I was in a battle with this other kid from the block, and like he had dissed my shit, so I want to go back and I want to go like diss his shit back or whatever. But when I was doing it, there was somebody across the street, because this shit was on a main street, off of Main Street. But there was a crib like that with apartments across the street, and I guess some guy was already like eyeballing me the whole time and had already called the cops. So I had did that shit. I walk out or whatever, and I'm walking down the alley, and I'm trying to go hit another spot, and I see the fucking gang unit pull up. And I'm like, oh shit. And they pass by the alley a little bit, so I take off my backpack and I throw that shit over. But they're already like, I hear the car like, I'm like, fuck. So I toss my backpack or whatever, and I keep walking, and they arrest me. This guy really goes over the fence and just looks for the backpack and everything. So I get busted. And yeah, that was the first time I ever.
Did he find the backpack?
Yeah. Yeah, they got the paint, they got the backpack.
Do they tell your parents? Do your parents find out?
Yeah, I got a citation for it. They had to pick me up from Rampart. It sucked.
That was your first time getting busted. Does there ever come a time when you go to jail and you're transported to jail for graffiti?
No, I was always to the station. It wasn't really too serious.
Have you ever been to Juvenile Hall?
Yeah.
Was that for graffiti-related crimes?
No. It was in 2007. Me and the homies, we would post outside of Belmont High School, because that was the high school that we would go to at the time. And we would wait for the homies that were still in school, because a lot of us that were outside there, we would never go to like 5th and 6th period. We'll come back and pick up the homies. And we'll like walk to and go kick it somewhere or whatever. So that day, we were all chilling right there, and the fucking school cops come through, and they arrest the homie for no reason. I guess they knew him or whatever, like he was already a familiar face to him. And they pretty much handcuffed him for no reason and put him in the cop car for a violation of I don't know what the fuck. So we were like, what the fuck did he do? He didn't do shit. So we were all mad and shit. We were talking shit to the cops. It was like some young dude. He wasn't young at the moment. He was older than us, but he was not that old. But it was him and his partner, which was a cop, which was a lady, I mean. And the girl was already tripping, like, oh, these kids are getting out of hand, these kids are getting out of hand. And we seen that, and the guy was already tripping on us. And my other homie, he was passing by while the other homie was in the cop car already. My homie Guts was passing by. He was with the other homie Psych, and he was passing by and like got in the mix. I don't know how the fuck he got in the mix. And they ended up trying to arrest Guts. So we were playing tug of war with Guts over the rail that we were arguing over. And we were playing tug of war, and I guess like we managed to get Guts away. and he runs to the back, and by then all the backup was already on, like all the school police and shit. It was like 20 units that pulled up. And by then, like, school was out and bell had just rang. So it was just chaos. Like, everybody that fucked with us is going at it with the cops, throwing bricks at the cops and shit, like, everything. Like, the cop cars are fucked up. Like, the ghetto birds are in the sky. You see Telemundo on the roof. Like, we're like, what the fuck is really going down? But yeah, like, my homie ended up getting down with these cops. He took the baton from the cop, threw the baton, and started fighting these guys. He went like toe to toe with the cop. And the other homie Bowser, he was on the phone, on the flip phone, bro, recording that shit. Like, but the one of the cops had cracked him on the leg and took the phone. That shit's gone forever. I don't know what happened to it. But if we had that phone, that would have been evidence. Like, my homie didn't do shit. But yeah, like, that was the first time ever going to juvenile hall. We ended up going to juvenile hall with like 6, 7 heads. Like, it was me and a couple of heads. It was me, Guts, Funk, Rival, Demo. Who else? I know I'm missing more people. But there was a bunch of us. These motherfuckers, we were at the glass house, and they're like, hey, he's 18. I'm like, motherfucker, hell no, I'm 17. They wanted to take me to the fucking, to the county already. I'm like, nah, man, I just got a beard. I'm still young, check my fucking birthday. Because the homies are clowning. They're like, yeah, he's 18, look at him, he look old. And yeah.
Do you and your friends all land in juvenile hall at the same time?
Yeah. We go to juvenile hall and like all the units already knew who we were.
How did they know who you were?
Because we went at it with the cops. We're like, fuck the cops. We rolled in deep. We're on different units. Like, I was in M&N, other homie was in KL, other homie was in GH? Like, all different units.
When you first landed in juvenile hall, were you scared? Were you curious? Intimidated? Can you describe that feeling when you first set foot there?
All of the above. Like, I was kind of tripping because I was like, man, I heard these stories. Like, you gotta walk around with a sharpened pencil or whatever, sharpened toothbrush. But like, it was chill. Like, just as long as you didn't act stupid.
How is juvenile hall set up? Is it little cells? Is it a big dorm room with bunk beds? Can you describe that for us?
Juvenile hall is pretty much just cells, and you got a day room. Like, it's literally halls, like a hallway and doors. That's what the juvenile hall is.
Do you have a cellmate in there? Is it single person cells?
Yeah, I had a cellie.
How do you pick your bed? Does the other guy have the bed first, or how do you choose?
It all depends. Like, if you're there first, then obviously he gets the spot first. But
what was everyone like in there? Were they mad dogging you? Were they testing you? Was everyone chill?
I mean, you get hit up. You for sure get hit up. After that little wave, then you're good. As long as you don't got no beef. But if you got beef, you gotta handle it. You gotta handle it.
What does your family say when you first go to juvenile hall? Are they worried for your safety? Or are they trying to get you out of it? What's going through your family's mind?
Oh yeah, both. Like, they're worried. They're like, oh shit, I heard crazy stories about that shit too and shit like that. But it wasn't too bad.
Sometimes your family gets more worried than the actual person in jail. How did you feel when you found out that your family knew you were going to juvenile hall? Did you feel maybe remorse, guilt, or about putting them through that situation?
Honestly, I was selfish. I really didn't care. Like, I was on my bullshit. Like, I was on a selfish teenager mode. Like, give a fuck about nothing.
In juvenile hall, are you chilling with all your friends that came in juvenile hall with you? Are you able to make new friends in there?
I seen a homie that I heard of that's been busted for a while in there. Actually, I was like, oh shit, this is where you've been the whole time. Like it was the homie's brother. And I was like, oh fuck, like this fool. I heard this fool like actually like stab somebody or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, like I'm in here with this fool.
What would you do there every day to pass time? Can you tell us what a day was like in there? Are you just trying to kill time? Is it maybe entertaining? Is it fun or?
It's yeah, you are pretty much just trying to kill time, but it is pretty entertaining at every day because everyone's trying to fight. Everyone's trying to find a reason to fight. Like you take some shit from me, or you look at me different, or like something. Like you say the magic words, you better hop up and we gonna get down, or we're gonna go hit the cut and lock legs, and like just fucking go at it, just punch each other.
Overall, would you say it was a difficult stay at Juvenile Hall, or was it easier than you expected?
The difficult part is in the beginning when you miss your family and like it all hits. Like that's like that's the hardest part. Like having to let your family go for a little bit until you get out again.
Do you remember your last day at Juvenile Hall?
My last day at Juvenile Hall. Yeah.
What was it waking up that morning? Can you tell us about it?
Oh, I didn't even go to sleep, bro. I knew I was getting out. I'm not sleeping. I'm just like excited to get the fuck out of that bullshit hole.
How do you get released? Do they drive you somewhere? Do you just walk out the door? Is someone meeting you outside?
Yeah, my parents had to pick me up.
Where do you go when you go outside and you see your parents? What do they say to you? What's the interaction like?
It's just all love, like that warm embrace. Like I'm home. Like even though I'm just out the door, but I'm home again. Like I'm free. Like my brother's right there. My grandma, like it felt like, you know how when you get off a plane at the airport and you got your family waiting? It's like that. Like, oh yeah, welcome back, you know? That warm embrace.
Where do you first go? Was there somewhere there you wanted to go that you've been thinking about the whole time while you got released?
In Juvenile Hall? Yeah, I wanted to go to Vegas. I wanted to go to Vegas because I had just turned 18 and Juvenile Hall. So yeah, I wanted to do like adult shit, but I wasn't even really 21 yet, so.
Do you go to eat anywhere special that first day out? What do you eat? What's your first meal you've been craving for?
Fuck, I don't even remember, bro. I think it was like a steakhouse somewhere or something. But I remember I wanted a pack of cigarettes though. I ended up getting a pack of cigarettes. And I think, I don't know, I forgot what I ate. But I don't know why I remember the pack of cigarettes, but not what I ate. It's all bad. I don't even smoke cigarettes no more though.
You're finally free. You're out of Juvenile Hall. Your whole family's waiting for you. They're happy to finally see you. Bibo, after coming out of Juvenile Hall, do you consider quitting graffiti?
Never.
How long after coming out of Juvenile Hall are you out catching spots again?
First day.
First day?
Yeah.
Why?
I was doing it every day in there too.
You were riding in there?
Hell yeah, everywhere, bro.
Didn't they know who you were? Or they must have heard your nickname, the officers.
Yeah, everyone had nicknames. Everyone was so why me?
After spending time in Juvenile Hall, did you learn anything in there that changed your life or made you realize something where you should change your life or something or do something different?
It just taught me how to be better at it. Like I see how everyone thinks, and I just wanted to be the best. And like everyone was sick, you know, like people were in there for gun charges, murder charges, like you wanted to be good at it.
Does your family currently know about your secret life that you're still writing and even are more popular than ever?
don't know about the popularity part, I guess, but they do know that I like writing on shit. Like,
What do they say about it in this?
they hate it. They hate it.
Have you ever had a serious argument with your family over graffiti?
Not recently, but when I was growing up, yeah, hell yeah. My mom and dad hated this shit. They still don't like it, but they can't stop me. They still do it.
Another interesting fact that I learned from you, Bibo, when researching you is during the Melrose riots, your name is clearly displayed in several news footage. Can I ask you, were you there?
Yeah. That shit was wild. Everyone was running wild. It was like chaos.
How did you hear about the Melrose riots? Were you there when it started, or did you hear about it and head on down there?
I was in downtown actually, and I was like, oh, Melrose is cracking. Let's go. I really just wanted to tag on shit. Like, I was tagging on shit. People were stealing. I was going inside the stores and just recording. You know, it's a trip, though. All that footage that I recorded that day, fucking, it got deleted off my phone. I don't know how the fuck. I didn't delete it, but somehow magically it disappeared, and I don't have no footage of that day. I find that really weird.
Yeah, you think the police somehow got into people's cell phones and deleted the footage?
I don't know, maybe, but I can't even prove it. But that's on my son. Like, I have video, a lot of video, and like a lot of footage of that day. I remember looking at it a little bit after I took them shots too, and I look back and it's not there anymore.
When you're in Melrose and the rioting, are you just catching tags? Are you using your mean streak, or are you using your spray can and doing your name big?
I had a can and I had a streak. I was doing both.
What was the scene like? What were the cops doing while everyone's stealing? Could you see any cops anywhere?
They were everywhere, bro. Cops were everywhere just looking. Doing nothing.
Do you take anything?
Huh?
Do you take anything?
I was going through a phase when I was like, I'm not gonna steal anything. It just didn't feel right to me at the moment. But I was like, man, fuck, I should have stole everything at that moment, because I still steal. Like, I'm like, man, fuck it. Like, sometimes you just gotta do it. Even though I got money in my pocket and I know, like, fuck this company, I'm gonna steal this shit.
Stealing, a big part of graffiti in anyone's graffiti journey. How would you get your paint back then? Would you steal it? How would you steal it? Can you please share with some tips on how to steal paint back then?
Well, back then it was kind of easier because like it wasn't really too much of a loss prevention thing going on. It was more of like, if you know, you know. Like, you go to the spots where you know, like, there was no security, it was just the workers. And Michael's was a big thing. Like,
How would you steal at Michael's? That's kind of a professional looking place. It's not like a rinky-dink hardware shop, right?
yeah.
How could you steal at Michael's?
I would go with my homie Mecca. He actually taught me, bro. Like, this motherfucker would go in with a cart, shopping for everything, right? Like, he's taking everything that he wants and shit. And like, he's like, get a basket. I'm like, really? I was like, all right, fuck it. So I get a basket, and like, I'm filling it with stuff that I want. And he's like, we're just gonna walk out. I was like, for real? And my heart pumping the whole time. I had a bunch of shit. I had like a bunch of acrylics. Like, I couldn't really get spray cans or shit, but I had like paint markers and acrylics and fake ass glass eater. Fucking like a bunch of shit. And we ended up just literally just walking out the front door. Like nothing. Like, and the workers, like, I guess they didn't even do anything. So that was it. Like, I was like, oh shit, we kept doing it.
Easy as that?
Easy as that. I couldn't even believe it myself, bro. This fool, I see this fool loading his car. Like nothing. My heart was pumping. This was all calm, like nothing. And I'm like, what the hell? But after that, I guess it just got burned. You can't do that shit no more. Like, this is early days.
You mentioned the writer named Mecca. Is this the same Mecca from B&B?
Yeah.
He's DB as well?
Yeah. DCP.
Thank you.
DB, DCP, OTR, BNB.
Does there ever come a time when you get caught stealing paint?
No.
What's the biggest thing you've ever stolen?
Biggest thing I've ever stolen. I don't know. I can't think of that right now.
Now, you're writing, you're getting busted, you're stealing. Is there any point when you end up in county jail? Can you tell us what happens for you to end up in county jail? Is it graffiti related?
The first time ever, it wasn't graffiti related, but it was during the Lakers versus Celtics championship. It was like my first time ever getting, because I had just ended my probation as a juvenile, and I was clean. Like a couple, like I think probably a month later, I ended up getting into the adult system. I got caught up at the Lakers versus Celtics championship, like looting, as they would say, or whatever.
During the parade?
No. It was right after the championship, like right after the finals.
Right after the fight? What happens?
I forgot, but I remember just getting chased by the cops, and there was another gang unit. Fucking, I was on my bike at the moment, on my bicycle, and they were already chasing me. I was trying to get away from them, and the crash unit had pulled up right next to me, and there was a cop that popped out of the back seat. So I kind of like jumped off my bike, and this fool had tripped over my bike, and then I started running and shit. They ended up like kind of fucking me up by the bus stop when they caught me. I ended up going to jail, but like I forgot what the charge was, but it was like something looting or whatever the fuck or something.
What are you thinking when you're in the back of the police car?
I was like, fuck, I'm here again. Shit.
Was it tough making that phone call? When you get into the police station, do they give you a phone call? And who do you call?
I called my parents.
Was it tough letting them know that you're back in jail?
Yeah, I was like, it's me. Because when they call, they already know that, oh, it's jail. And then they're like, oh, you got a collect call from, and I'm like, it's me. And they already knew, like, I hate giving that call, but that's how it went down.
This time when you're in county jail, do they put you with the adults?
Yeah.
And what do you do in county jail that first night? Are you just sleeping? Are you listening to other people's conversations? What's going through your mind? Do you remember?
It was just like a lot of distinct chatter and like noises, like doors closing, fucking radio going off, like the TV, like a lot of distinct noises, distinct conversations.
How long are you in there for? Just a couple days? Are you serving several weeks until trial? Or what's the situation like?
Oh no, I got bailed out first day. I was at the class house. It was like a $20,000 bail, so we pay like 2 G's or whatever. Like, I was like, fuck that, I'm gonna be in here.
You've been to juvenile hall. You've been to county jail. Now, does there ever come a time when you land in prison?
Yeah.
Can you please tell us about that situation?
Well, prison happened because I was just fucking up all around. Like, I ended up catching a case for fighting. Ended up getting like a joint suspension, which is a prison sentence that is suspended, and they give you a chance basically to straighten up. I didn't straighten up, and I ended up just getting caught one day with my cousin out in Hollywood. We got caught up tagging. That night was crazy. We had gotten caught up and I went to prison after that shit. But that night that we got caught up, it was crazy because we started off in Venice Beach. We caught a bomb. And like, we get rolled up on by undercovers, like in an unmarked car.
and they roll up, and we're hitting a tarp. I'm doing some huge shit. Like, that shit was pretty big. It was like as big as a semi, probably, like that long. And like I had my letters stretched out, so I knew like it was gonna rock. And I turn around, and I see a shine on at first I hear a car behind us, and I look inside the driver's seat, and I see a little glare of the badge, and I'm like, oh shit, it's the cops. And I tell my cousin, hey fool, let's go, like that's the cops, that's the cops. So we walk, like we try to walk casually, and we just hop the fence, boom, 1-2. We hit that 1-2, and they were fast with it. They went around, fucking, they hit the cut, and I didn't have enough time, and I surrendered. And they ended up letting us go. Long story short, they ended up letting us go, so we went out on a rampage. I ended up like hitting like everything in sight, and we were all over the city. And fucking, we ended up getting caught up in Hollywood. I hate tagging in Hollywood. I was getting caught up right there. But we ended up getting caught up in Hollywood because I wanted to catch the spot at the end of the night. We were right before that, we were eating at Subway with the homie, because he had worked there. Homie Filter, shout out him, rest in peace as well. Yeah, I was telling my cousin, I was like, hey, dog, I want to hit this spot before we go home. He said, nah, let's go home. I'm like, nah, I want to hit this spot. This spot's gonna rock. So he was like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna hit it first. So he goes, no, I hit it first, and then it's his turn, and I don't know why, man. Like, I look away from 1 second, and the fucking the police were right there, and there was 2 women, 2 girls, and I'm like, yeah, we're not going home. We're getting busted. We go to the station, and so I ended up going to prison after that. I ended up doing like, because of the joint suspension, I had to do like 3 with half, which is like a year and a half.
Wow. Yeah. That's a pretty long time. This is, now you're facing, you get busted after being on probation, and you have to call your parents again.
Yeah.
What do they say this time?
They didn't really say much, actually. They're just disappointed.
Does your cousin say anything about catching that spot? Does he regret catching that spot later?
Yeah, he was like, I told you.
Now looking back at it, was that spot worth it? Was it a good spot?
Hell no, it was a stupid spot. I always get caught up for the dumbest shit. Like, always. It's always. Like, all the big shit that I've done, thank God I've never gotten caught up for it, but like all the little shit that I do is what I get caught up for. Like, dumb shit.
You've done juvenile hall time. You've been in jail. What goes through your mind when you hear that you're facing prison now?
Oh man, it was a heavy feeling, man. Like, I went to court and they're like, yep, you're going to prison. Like, it was, I don't know, it was just like this heavy weight on me. I'm like, fuck. I even like I sat down real quick and I'm like, I'm going to prison. Let's hear that. I'm not gonna see the outs for a while. And I just accepted it right then and there. Like, I remember the first time I ever got busted, I was tripping out. Like, I was more of like, oh man, what's gonna happen? But this time I was like, this is it. Like, I teared up a little bit, but write it out. Like, I have no choice.
Prison, it just sounds scary. You're going in there with murderers, rapists, who knows who else. What are your mom's feelings when she hears you're going to prison?
Oh, they're probably like, it's probably like 10 times wilder than mine because they care about me, you know?
Do you remember that first day going to prison?
Yeah.
Do you go on a bus and they drop you off? Can you tell us about the bus ride?
It's literally like a movie, man. Like, you're in the bus with like all kinds of crazy ass fools, like, or weirdos or whatever. Everyone's talking their shit, everyone's chopping it up.
Some people get crazy at times.
Are you one of the youngest guys on that bus?
Yeah. I wasn't too young, but yeah, I wasn't as old as a lot of people on there.
How was it when you stepped out of the bus and see the front of the prison while you're gonna get processed?
Oh, it's wild. You see the watchtowers, the barbed wire, the gates, the fucking guards and shit. Like, yeah, it's really like that. Like that whole scene, it's like that.
Now that you're processed, what happens next? How do they show you where you're gonna sleep?
Through processing, they pretty much like separate you. They're like, all right, you're in general population, you're a weirdo, like you're like medical or whatever, like, but I was always in general population. Like, and we would you go through like medical and shit, like a screening basically to show where you're gonna be placed at.
Which prison are you sent to?
I'm in Delano.
Wow.
Yeah. I was there for what is it? What do they call it? What do they call it? It's like not processing. I forgot, but it's like pre mainline. I forgot what it was called.
What did everyone in prison look like? Intimidating? Crazy? How would you describe what everyone in prison looked like?
People did look intimidating and crazy, but it's it.
How's everyone looking at you since you're the new guy coming in there? Are they standoffish towards you? Do they mad dog you again? How do the other prisoners treat you since you're the new guy?
To be honest, like everyone comes through with like respect at first. It's all about respect. Like unless there's some tension that you don't know about, you feel it like without even anybody saying anything. But it's all like everyone's pretty respectful. Like nobody really has that mug, because if you got that mug, like people are like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
True.
You know what I mean? Like, but everyone like people look crazy as fuck. Like they all tatted and they got like some crazy shit on them or whatever. But like nobody really had that face most of the time. Like there were people that try to have that face, but you get validated for that face, bro. Like you want to act crazy, all right, here, prove it. So a lot of people wouldn't really walk around with that face, but you knew like who was who based on how they carry themselves.
What about the first time seeing your new cell? Is the cell the same size as Juvenile Hall? Can you describe the cell?
In prison, I was in a dorm, but a cell in prison, I was never really in a cell in prison. It was probably for like holding or whatever, but none of it.
When you get to prison, Delano State Prison, do you see anyone you know? Do you run into any familiar faces in there?
Delano, yeah. I run into O'Toole from B2G. Man, that fool, he was a cool dude, man. Like, rest in peace as well. I feel like I was one of the last people who seen him. Cause reception, there you go, that's what it was. It was prison reception. And I was there for like a month. And yeah, he's from the area too. So it was like somebody I kind of knew and shit.
How far into your stay do you run into him?
It was when I was on my way out already. The day I was going to mainline, he was stepping in.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I had hooked him up. I was like, here's some fucking like some pastries or whatever.
That first day in prison, what do you do? Who do you hang out with? Since you really don't know anyone that day.
I hang out on my bunk, kind of like, and then I hit the day room a little bit, but I hung out with everybody. Everyone introduced themselves. I introduced myself to everyone.
How would you usually pass time in there?
I created a lot.
Drawing, writing?
I drew. At one point, I printed on shit. I would cut out stencils and like, I'd be hooking me up with like house paint and shit. And I would use a toothbrush to give it a spray effect, and I would just flip the paint on to the stencil on whatever garment or hat or whatever the fuck was it, and I would just sell that shit. Like, I was on my hustle in there, you know. That was my thing.
What was the worst thing you saw in prison? Were there any incredible things you saw in prison? Fights, stabbings?
Oh yeah. I seen all that. Like I seen people get blue buffed all the time. I seen removals. I seen like a fucking pedophile get stabbed. Like I was at reception. I was like, man, it was a trip because I was thinking about it. I was like, this shit really happened like that? And then boom, it was going down. Like I seen everyone separating, and everyone like you felt the tension in the room, like something is gonna go down. And then like you hear from the grapevine or whatever, like, oh yeah, there's a fucking pedophile in here, so it's just gonna go down right now. You're not gonna go to sleep. Like, it happened like right before like bedtime or whatever. And yeah, that's what I ended up getting dealt with. Like you see the first crew go in and they're all poking them, and then the next crew goes in, which is the cleanup crew, who's just beating them up, waiting to like get caught for it.
When this is going on, what do you do? Do you pretend you don't see? Do you look? Do you walk away?
All of the above. I pretend like I don't see, but I'm looking. I'm like, damn, this shit really going down right now. Shit entertaining. It's like, I'm glad it's not happening to me, but I'm like, I'm glad I'm seeing it right now. It's like firsthand.
You mentioned in Juvenile Hall, everyone was catching spots, catching scribes. Do you do the same in prison?
Yeah, hell yeah.
If someone goes to Delano prison, they'll see Bibo tags in there? Or Bibo scribes in there?
Probably. I hope so.
We hear a lot about people smoking weed in prison, smoking cigarettes. Do you
I
ever...
smoke weed every day. Right
In
before
prison?
workout. Hell yeah.
How?
Hell yeah. Like, I'll just buy it.
I mean, wouldn't they smell it?
Yeah. I mean, no. Like, we would smoke in the bathroom, and like somehow like we would have our ways. You know, like there was times to do it and times not to, but it was mostly like in the bathrooms and shit.
Does anyone ever get caught smoking weed? You know what?
Yeah, but I've never gotten caught for smoking.
Was smoking weed like a typical experience in prison? Like, was it just no big deal?
At the prison that I was at, yeah, it was no big deal. Like everyone was smoking. Like you would smell that shit in the dorm room too. Like it smelled good.
Do they ever drug test you in prison?
Yeah.
Do you ever have to pass a drug test?
Yeah.
How can someone pass a drug test in prison?
You drink water until you throw up.
You drink water until you throw up?
Until you like start pissing just clear, and all that clear piss is what you want to give them. You don't want to give them nothing dark. Like you drink water, you literally flush your whole body out with water. You don't gotta take nothing else but water.
You tried this and passed your test?
Yes, in prison.
Wow.
In prison.
Did someone in prison teach you this, or was this something that you already knew?
There was some older dude, like older homie, he was like, "Well, you just gotta drink water," because he would literally like do a shot of heroin and go get tested high as a motherfucker, but he's pounding water like the whole time, like boom, 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 boom. He comes back and he's clean.
Bibo, are you telling me that you could pass a heroin drug test by drinking water until you throw up?
On a piss test, yeah.
And your piss coming out clean?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like I seen a homie do that shit, and I'm like, damn, that shit works. So he's like, yeah, dog, you pretty much gotta drink water until you throw up.
Wow.
Flush that shit out.
Prison time. Difficult being away from your family. You're in here with murderers, rapists, serial killers, probably, as you mentioned before.
All the rapists and like weirdos, they're in a different unit.
I
They're
see.
Baby blued up.
Can-
I'm in general population.
It's still a dangerous place in there, but can you please tell us about when you hear that you're about to get released? your release date is approaching. Can you tell us about that last day in prison and how you're feeling?
Oh, it's exciting. It's kind of nerve-wracking.
Do the other prisoners know that your release date's approaching? Or are you trying to stay out of trouble and not even interact with anyone because you don't want to get involved in anything?
For me, I was good. So like, people were excited for me to get out, you know. But there's some people that they don't want you to get out because you fucked up, you know. But for me, luckily, like I was good and I left on good terms. Like, met a lot of good people.
What was the most difficult part about prison?
Getting away from my loved ones. Like, not being able to walk to somewhere I want to and get something when I want it.
You go to prison because you're riding with your cousin at Hollywood. You serve your time. Now you're out of prison, Bibo. Now that you spent that time in prison, do you ever contemplate quitting graffiti?
No.
Why? Why do you continue? You're in juvenile hall, LA County Jail, Delano State Prison. Why do you continue? You're out of jail.
It's just something that I'm willing to get busted for. Like, if I'm gonna get busted, it's not gonna be forever. I'm not killing nobody. Like, I'm doing this shit because I believe in it.
Do your parents ever remind you that you've been in juvenile hall, that you served prison time, and that you should quit writing? Do they ever remind you? Do they ever advise you?
All the time, man. That's like something I hear all the time.
Why can't they talk you out of it?
I love this shit, and they don't understand it like I do. Like, I see something in it. Like, I see it going somewhere. And what I see, they don't see it yet. But once they do, I'm pretty sure they're gonna start understanding it.
Once you get released from prison, do you have that same greeting from your family? Or are they kind of fed up, like, here you go again, Bibo?
No, it's always all love in my family.
Do you remember where you go now that you're out of prison? Have you been fantasizing about going somewhere, eating something special?
I wanted to do it all, bro, to be honest. Like, eat everywhere, see everything, like, ride on everything, like, travel everywhere. Like, I want to do it all.
Now, Bibo, you've made a name for yourself. You're out of prison. You're hitting the streets now. You're back at it. Now, in this era, Bibo, most recently in your illustrious career, we've been seeing you painting lyrics of well-known songs all over the Los Angeles freeways. But before painting lyrics, I remember you painting a tribute to Spanto, the creator of the Born and Raised brand, after he tragically passed away. Can you tell us about that production first? What inspired you to go out there and give Spanto a tribute?
Well, because he started some gangster shit, man. Like, he really, like, put LA on the map like that. Like, that's one of the brands that represents LA culture, you know? Like, and respect to him. Like, I fucking, I got love for that fool. Like, he was always cool when I encountered him. Like, he would do a lot of things with my cousin and shit. Like, my cousin printed for him, and I worked at a spot where he would always be at, and I would just bump into him, and he was always cool people, you know?
Besides that, Spanto, what was the first time you ever painted something else? What was it? Do you remember? Was it a movie quote?
It was actually a music quote as well. It was, I want to say that God blessed on my trap niggas. That was the first one I think I did.
From this interview to that first lyric production, how far ago did you paint that?
That, I would say like a little more than a year ago, like no more than 2 years ago.
What inspires you to begin painting lyrics on the freeway? Where do you come up with that idea?
I love music, man. And a lot of this shit that I do is like, it's a random moment throughout the day, and I'm like, I just randomly think of like a verse or whatever, and I'm like, oh shit, like, hell yeah, that's a hard ass verse, and I just think of it and I just put it up.
Out of all the lyrics, out of all the songs, why is that one your first one? Was something happening that day?
I was just in my trap mode or whatever. Like I really wanted to shout out like everyone that's doing it like that.
How are you feeling the first time you paint the long lyrics? Because usually you're only painting Bibo DB, but this time that must have taken an incredible amount of time, man.
But you know what? It actually started like, aside from like painting the game, like I would do like roll calls with the homies, and I would do crew spell outs. That's kind of like how I like really like branched out off of my name and started doing like other letters because I would do my homies' names or whatever.
Doing everyone's name takes a long time and it's risky. You've been to juvenile hall for writing. You've been to prison. Why are you risking so much time writing all these letters?
It's the love for me, man. Like,
Do you ever get nervous painting all those letters? What are you thinking when you're up there on the freeway ledge?
I'm always nervous, but like now it's like less nerve-wracking. Like I'm kind of used to it and what to expect. Before I wouldn't really know what to expect. Like it would be some of the first times I've hit a freeway or hit a truck or somewhere like paint somewhere like grimy and shit. Like you're expecting the worst. You're expecting somebody to roll up on you. You're expecting cops. You're expecting like probably somebody to roll up, pop out the bush or whatever, like some tweaker or like someone random. Like you just don't know what to expect. So. And now I'm like, all right, I might be expecting all of the above, so it's kind of, it's different now.
Your musical lyrics are long. Do you know how many cans you're taking that night? Do you have a rough estimate? Do you take more cans than you need just in case?
Yeah, I try to take more than what I need because there's been times where I'm like, fuck, I need more black. I gotta go all the way back to the whip and come back. But yeah, that shit made me like learn like I always should take more than what I need.
Have you ever stopped in the middle of painting, left, and because you didn't have enough supplies?
Yeah.
Do you come back or you just leave it like that, as is?
No, that time that I did the Nate Dogg quote, actually, my fucking white was fucking, man, I don't know what the fuck was happening, but the loops, it was like, I think it was probably cold that night and the paint was too chunky, but every tip that I put on that shit was getting clogged up. And I was telling my homie, I was like, hey dog, like, I don't know, like, can you get all the tips from my whip? And I had like a bunch of like NY fats. I had like a couple of them. But I ran through like 3 and they were all getting clogged until like the 4th, 5th one. And I managed to like bang it out with it. But I was like, man, this shit is fucking me up. Like, I got different whites, and all of them were doing that shit, and I kept having to go back. And yeah, that was like the last time that shit happened to me.
Everyone loves your song lyrics, Bibo. Even people not associated with Los Angeles graffiti culture. At one point, you decide to paint Tupac lyrics on the freeway, and your Instagram clip goes viral. As of right now, Bibo, it has over 18 million views and rising.
Hell yeah.
It's, in my opinion, I haven't found one, but it seems to be the most viewed graffiti clip in all of Instagram. Can you tell us, why do you believe that Tupac fill is so successful and so viewed? Why did it go viral? Why did it strike a nerve in everyone?
I went viral because like it's also a Jay-Z thing too. Like it's a love song, but Tupac's version is the gangster version of it. And like everybody in LA wanna be a G. Everybody in LA is a G. But like that song was had multi meanings in it. Like that fool Tupac was talking about a gun. Jay-Z was talking about Beyonce. And like, it just hit because everyone was sharing it with their girlfriend or with their boyfriend. Like, oh, it's you, like, you know. And people started talking about it, and they created like a debate. Like, oh no, it's about a gun. No, it's about a girl. No. And like, it just went viral. Like,
Can you tell us, why did you decide to paint those Tupac lyrics specifically? The night before, were you thinking about what lyrics would be next?
That song just kept coming into my head. Like, all I need in this life is sin, is me and my girlfriend. And I don't know, I just felt like bombing it, and I did it.
Were you surprised when you saw the reaction of your lyrics?
Yeah. I was like, holy shit, this shit is going up. Like, because right before that, I had the System of a Down one go up, and when System of a Down actually reposted that shit, that shit gave me goosebumps. I was like, holy shit, like this shit is really hitting. So like, after I did that Tupac one, that one just blew up out the game. Like, that shit hit what, like 16 mil, like quick. Like, and then it just keeps growing and shit.
You were tagged on the video itself as it kept climbing up as it kept rising in views. Was your phone just constantly ringing and going off for the next couple months?
Kinda, yeah. Like my follows were just going up and shit. Like, it was tight. Like, people were hitting me up. Like, a lot of old heads that I haven't seen in a long time, like, hit me up and they're like, hey, dog, I like this shit that you're doing. And just giving me pats on the back and shit. And I'm like, hell yeah.
From the Tupac lyrics, which were incredibly successful, as I mentioned, over 18 million views. From the Tupac lyrics, you follow up with another musical genius, Big Pun, and his Little Italy verse. Bibo, one of the most difficult verses to just write. Why do you decide to go with that one?
Because it was hard enough to just say that shit. And I'm like, man, if I bomb this shit, it'll just be like mind blowing. And me and the homie, we were talking about it that day. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna bomb. I don't know what I'm gonna bomb. But we were listening to hip hop and that song came up and I was like, yo, that's a hard ass verse. Imagine bombing that shit. Like, that's a long ass verse. Like, and like, he didn't believe that I was gonna do it. I didn't even believe that I was gonna do it, but like one day I was kicking it with my homie Sumba and Void, and I had paint. And, like, these fools were all drunk, so I was like, hey, dog, just keep lookout for me, and Sumba, you can paint with me or whatever. Like, just like rock with me real quick, and I'm gonna take you guys home. So it was like, it was a rainy day as well, but the rain had stopped, so we're all muddy. Like, and we go up there and he busts out a DB, and I was like, fucking, I'm gonna do this shit now. I've been thinking about this quote, and I ended up rocking it. I didn't think it was gonna bang that hard, and it did.
Do you count how many letters you painted that night?
No, because that shit's too many letters. I knew that it was a lot of letters, so I was actually gonna count how many words was in that shit, but I gave up.
How many black cans and white cans do you take up there?
That time, I took 5 blacks and like 2 whites.
How long are you up there for?
That time I was there for a little less than an hour.
That quick?
I try to bang it out in 30 minutes. Like, if I'm there for more than 30 minutes, I'm already tripping.
That was an incredible production. All of your lyrics have over 100,000 views on Instagram. All your lyrics are hitting with everyone. Have there ever been any lyrics that you painted but then got buffed before they were able to be videotaped or photographed?
Yeah, hell yeah. I did one the other day, man. I did the Vanessa Carlton one, man. Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces passing, I'm homebound. I did that shit and got buffed within hours, man. Like, that shit.
How does it feel when you hear it's buffed within hours?
It's like a slap in the face, like, ha, motherfucker, you didn't get it. It just sucks, because you just wasted all that time, and energy, and money on that shit, and it just got taken away like that.
After the Big Pun production, you also celebrate Valentine's with a movie quote from the Little Rascals. Why do you transition from musical lyrics to movie quotes?
That one, I was just thinking about that shit
for a while, like I was like, man, if I were to bomb this on the freeway, like people that grew up in my era would know that shit, and it'll ring a bell. And I kind of aim for nostalgia. Like I want people to like remember, like, oh yeah, this back in the days, you know, like that's kind of like what I go for. Like I don't know if like you guys notice, but a lot of the shit that I do is classic. A lot of the classic shit. Maybe I'll probably do some new shit like here and there, but a lot of the shit is some shit from back in the day.
Your lyrics are getting millions of views, literally. Your new movie quote is getting hundreds of thousands of likes and shares. Your fame and notoriety are increasing. But then we start to see other writers start painting lyrics. What goes through your mind when other writers are inspired by what you started?
It's flattering, man. Like I like it. Like it's like hell yeah. Like these guys see what I did and wanted to do some shit better, you know. And it's kind of motivating. It's like, all right, I'm gonna do some other shit. Like you wanna like you like what I do. Watch what else I got. You know what I mean? So it's flattering and I appreciate it.
You're painting lyrics. You're doing Ice Cube. You're doing Nate Dogg. We hear the Eagles, Hotel California on the freeway by you. Then out of nowhere, there's a Spanish song from a band called Herencia de Patrones. How does that come about, Bibo? Why is there a Spanish song in your musical playlist?
Well, that's the homie, JD. Fucking, yeah, like, he wanted to do some shit, so I was like, fuck it, let's rock together. And we ended up just rocking that song. That's what he wanted on there.
What message were you trying to send with the lyrics? Because you also paint a white styrofoam cup with purple drink inside.
It's about just pouring up and kicking it. Like, pretty much the trap life and just chilling with the homies with a double cup.
What was the people's reaction to Spanish lyrics being painted by you? Was it a surprise to everyone?
I feel like it was definitely a surprise because it came from like left field. Like I was just doing all English shit, hip hop and rock or whatever, and then boom, I hit him with a corrido. Like it was kind of shocking to me to actually be doing that shit too. Like, oh shit, I'm doing a fucking corrido. I don't even know what the fuck they're saying in that shit. I'm Filipino. You know what I mean? Like, but like he broke it down to me. He was like, yo, this is what the song means. I'm like, oh hell yeah, let's do it. Let's fucking run it. And we ended up just banging it out, and that shit went up. Like, he's a well-known artist as well. Like, you know?
After painting the song lyrics on the freeway, do you notice any change or any difference in your fame, in your notoriety? Do you notice more reaction to you? Is there anything different?
I just have more of an audience now. Like, people are watching now. Like, I kind of have I want to say I have a platform to like just showcase what I'm good at now. Like before, like I would always share the same shit. Like I did a couple of spell outs before anybody even knew. Like, oh yeah, you're doing spell outs. But like up until I started doing the music shit, like that's when I started getting noticed a lot. But yeah, I kind of been doing this shit for a while.
Are more lyrics in your future plans? Are you planning anything new or different going forward?
Yeah, hell yeah, I plan to do more.
Now, most recently, along with your lyrics, there's also been huge news about the Oceanwide towers in downtown Los Angeles. Do you recall first hearing about the Oceanwide towers in Los Angeles? And how did you hear about them? Do you remember?
Yeah, I heard about it. The homie was like, hey, dog. I get a call from the homie. He's like, hey, dog, let's go hit the towers. That shit's popping. I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah, but I was working and shit. And I didn't have no time.
Yeah, when you heard the news, you're working. But we really, or at least I don't think I ever saw a Bibo on the towers.
Yeah, I was never on there.
Why didn't you ever make an effort to go to the towers? Was it not in the plans? Was it too hot with cops? Or what was the reasoning behind that?
It was literally really not in the plans. Like I didn't really care for it in the beginning, but I was like, oh shit, that shit is getting hit. And by the time I actually decided to go, it was already hot. Like everyone was getting burned, everyone was getting arrested or whatever. But I still kind of wanted to do it. And like literally like the next day they started putting up the fences and shit. And I was like, oh, it's game over.
How do you feel about the towers now?
I felt like I slept on it, to be honest. Like, I really wanted to be on there, but I'm not. And shout out to everybody that's on there. Everyone that's doing bold shit and cleaning up like all the trash that was on there or whatever.
What do you think should happen to the towers going forward?
I really don't. I feel indifferent about it. Like I don't really give a fuck. It's cool that everyone went to go paint that shit, but like all the politics with it, I really don't. I really don't care about it.
Were there any riders you were happy to see on the Oceanwide towers? Any riders that caught your eye because the spot they caught at the towers?
Yeah, fucking that OTR that they did. I was like, holy shit, these motherfuckers. Like, I knew something was gonna go down, but like I didn't know like it was just gonna be them. Like they really like they got the drone shot all around. Like that was like one of the hardest ones. Yeah.
Did you ever hear about the Art Basel building?
Oh yeah.
And in your opinion, which one's better? Art Basel in Miami or Oceanwide Towers in downtown Los Angeles?
I gotta say LA, man. But Art Basel, it was tight because they started some shit like that. Like it was like, all right, like I think people from there got that idea and brought it to LA, kinda, like in a way. Like, cause how that shit happened, like, I don't know, I feel like that shit had a lot of influence into the one that with that in LA. Cause they just killed that shit, grilled that shit.
They definitely did. A historic graffiti monument. Incredible. Now, Bibo, I'd like to talk about today's era, where you're definitely making the name for yourself. Can you please tell us about your feelings on graffiti culture in 2024? What are the differences, or what do you see in 2024 as opposed to the late 90s when you were beginning your run?
The difference is social media, man. Like it's really a different game now. Like you don't really gotta get up all crazy all around the city to really be known. You just gotta do some cool shit and post it. Like, to be honest, like I felt like the past like years of my graffiti, it's only the 5 years that I didn't even really go out there throughout the city like that I got noticed. But before, I felt like I was all around the city, tagging on everything I fucking can and shit. I got no recognition. You know, I got little pictures here and there and shout outs here and there. But like now it's like, I hit one good spot, someone posts it, it's over. Like, it's all social media. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like it's really different in that sense because like, you really don't really gotta be killing it like that, really in the streets to be known like that. You just gotta do some cool shit and put it in the right hands.
You're definitely one of the writers putting it out on the streets, killing the streets, the freeways, all of Los Angeles. Are there any other writers in this era that you enjoy seeing on the streets while you're out writing?
I love seeing old heads come back. I love that shit. It's like, oh shit, you still doing that? I remember seeing you when I was growing up. And like people that are still doing it, I shout out to them, man. Yeah.
You've had a long career. Can you please name some of the female writers in Los Angeles that you've seen throughout the years? Do any come to mind?
Let's see. Not at the top of my head. But like all the old school ones? Yeah, hell yeah, Spunna. Spunna, man, shout out her, man. She's still sick, man. Back then, I didn't even know it was a girl. Like she had a style that was like sick, like block. Like she'll get up in Modoc, Modoc, like it was somebody I saw growing up, and like yeah, their style is sick. Shout out Spanto, man. She's like one of the girls that, or a woman that kills it, like still to this day.
Up to this point in your career, who would you say has been your biggest influence in graffiti? Has there been any writer who you've just followed their career that inspired you to maybe be better than or just as good?
Not really. Like I take what I like from all the artists. Like, even if I don't like you, but I'm gonna take something from you.
Up to this point, what do you feel has been your biggest accomplishment in graffiti?
The connections and the opportunities, man. Like they're coming in.
What's been the toughest part for you coming up in Los Angeles graffiti culture and trying to make a name for yourself?
Oh, we said that again?
What's been the most difficult part of coming up in Los Angeles graffiti culture and trying to make a name for yourself?
The cost of living. Everything's expensive, like housing, fucking like just everyday life. Like while trying to do the shit that you like doing and trying to break free from all that shit. I think that's...
Do you wish you could have done anything different in your graffiti career? What would you change?
I wish I would have made better choices as a young kid. Like I wish I would have fucking learned different things to help me now at a young age, so I don't have to struggle as much and know that it's gonna get me to a certain spot if I don't do it. Yeah.
What's the most important lesson you've learned in graffiti?
Just do you, I guess. I don't know.
Bibo, why do you write? Why do you continue to write? You've been at this game more than 20 years. Juvenile hall, jail time, prison. You're now an adult. You're a father. What's the point? Why do you write? Can you please tell us?
I love this shit, man. It's a part of me. I'm gonna continue to do it. Like I'm gonna continue to create and just do this shit till the day I die. Like I love this shit.
Is knowing the history of Los Angeles graffiti culture important to you?
Definitely, yeah.
Past writers, how crews started.
I mean, you don't gotta get in depth like that, but like you gotta know something. Like you gotta know where you're at, who you're rocking with, and like you gotta have some sort of purpose.
Where do you see graffiti going in the future? We're in 2024 now. 2030 is quickly approaching. Where do you see graffiti in the next 5 to 10 years?
I see it on everything. Everything. It is slowly getting on everything now too. Like within like the artistic community, like it's on shoes, it's on clothing, it's on cars, it's on everything. People are like slowly opening their eyes and like letting it into their whatever they do now. Like they're learning to accept it because it's just everywhere.
Bibo, what we're filming right now is a time capsule. 100 years from now, people are going to watch this interview. How would you like to be remembered in Los Angeles graffiti culture? How should we remember the viewers, Bibo, DB?
I'm one of the best dads out there, man. I'm trying to be the best dad out there for my son. Like, I just want to be a good dude and like do cool shit that he could be proud of. And I feel like this is one of the things. Like, I'm creating shit. Like, I don't know. I just want to be remembered as a good guy to all my loved ones, actually, but to the most, a good father.
Definitely. Now, Bibo, I always ask our guests for their top 5 list of all time. Can you please share with us your Mount Rushmore of LA writers? Do you have a Mount Rushmore?
That's kind of tough. I would say, shit, man, that's hard. It's got to be like some of the top three: Revoke, Saber, and Zest. Like for different reasons. Zest is like the spots that he catches is so crazy, and that video that he made like back then, was it the known or seventh day projects? Like that video was like the start of like graffiti videos. I feel like after like, I mean, not really the start, but like it was one of the ones that where YouTube started popping with graffiti videos. The videos that were on YouTube before was like independent films or like shit that was like legitly recorded or whatever. But that was like one of the videos where like they made it and they put it on, you know? Like it was like, oh shit, you know, the Seventh Day Project. But Zest, he's one of the ones. Revoke, Saber. Like honestly, the MSKs, like, you know.
If you could say anything to future generations of writers watching this interview right now, what would it be?
To the future generation?
Yes.
Just keep doing what you love, man. Like, keep doing you. Fuck what everybody thinks. Just get better at you. It's pretty much like your style is you. You get better at it by working on you every day. If you don't work on it, you're just gonna show. And you're just gonna be a shitty person, a shitty graffiti artist. Just work on you. You get better.
Bibo, I want to thank you for joining us on this interview. I've been following your career for a long time, and your lyrics have just been a breath of fresh air in graffiti and on those freeways, man. Before we end our interview, I'd like to ask you if you'd like to give any shout outs to anyone you might know.
I want to shout out everyone that fucks with me, man. All my loved ones. They know who they are. Shout out my son. He's the best thing that's ever happened to me. The best thing I've ever created. Best thing I'm working on. Like the best project. Like that's my boy and everything I do it for. Like, it's my boy, my son Kata. And shout out to everyone that loves me. And yeah, they know who they are.
Bibo, thank you very much again for joining us on this exclusive interview covering your infamous career. We wish you success in your future endeavors and look forward to sitting with you again for a future update. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us once again. This has been the maestro of the Los Angeles freeways, the notorious Bibo DB Crew.